How's it going, everyone? This is Mike. I'm here to do a horror movie tag, and let's see. I was tagged by James Higgins, and he said he was tagged by DVDCollector 1986, our friend Chris. So, Chris, you started all this. Thank you very much. I'm glad to join in. So, the first question is, what is our favorite horror film opening? Okay, well, James took the one that I would have chosen first. That was the opening scenes to Black Sunday. But I chose one of my other favorite horror films from 1961. This is The Innocents. And this has a terrific opening. It starts out with a blank screen, and you hear this sound of a young girl singing this very sad kind of a love song. It's almost like a folk song. In fact, I actually thought this was a traditional English folk song, but I guess it was written for the film. So she's singing this very sad, melancholy music, and then in the middle of it, the credits start rolling. A 20th Century Fox logo presents, and then after she ends this song, then we go to another screen where we're outdoors and we hear birds chirping, and the music is just sort of starting to play. It's not beautiful movie music. It's kind of tense, agitated type music, and the credits start in, and we see a woman's hands, the profile of a woman's hands coming up into the screen as we hear the sounds of a woman crying. And the woman's hands are again very agitated, very tense. They start clenching and unclenching, and finally we see the face of Deborah Kerr, the star of the film, in profile, and she's moving her hands back and forth as though she's praying, and she's crying. It's a very well, it's just very weird. I mean, it makes the people watching the movie, what are we in for here? First, we're hearing a little girl singing this very sad song about love and people dying, and now we're seeing this woman clenching her hands and weeping. What is all this about? So finally, the credits are ending, and finally, Deborah Kerr, in the character of Miss Giddens that she plays in the film, starts to speak. And I think I know exactly what she said. She said, "I want to save the children, not destroy them. More than anything else in the world, I love children." And I think she also says, children need someone to belong to and someone who will belong to them. And it's a hell of an opening. And it sets the tone for this entire film, which has to do with a woman and her experiences with the two children that she is supposed to be taking care of as their governors. So that's my choice for favorite horror film opening. Then we have, what are our favorite horror film quotes? So I'm going to read you two quotes from the same film, but different translations, okay? Now, the movie Black Sunday, my #1 horror film, of course, when it was originally, it's an Italian film, but when it was originally dubbed into English, they so they could send it to English-speaking countries. Then when it got to America, that translation was completely deleted, and they did it over again, and they changed a lot of the dialogue. So I'm going to talk here about the scene where Princess Aza has trapped Dr. Cruvaillon in the tomb, and she has just started to regain more and more of her powers, and she has managed to make her coffin explode around her. So she's exposed there on the slab. She's lying there on the slab, right? So Cruvaillon is transfixed, and here's what she says to him in the original version: "Cruvaillon, Cruvaillon, I've been waiting for you. I need you again. Look into my eyes. Look into my eyes. Come closer. Just a few drops of your blood brought me to life again. All of your blood will give me the strength I need to accomplish my vengeance. Come, kiss me. My lips will transform you. You will be dead to man, but you will be alive in death." Ooh. Now, here's what she says in the American International version. She gets very talkative in this one. Okay. And before she does any talking, of course, she's lying on the slab, lots of heavy breathing and heaving breaths and all this. Is wonderful. Okay. "At last you're here. I've been waiting for you. I need you again. Just a few drops of your blood brought me to life. All of it will give me the strength to accomplish my vengeance. Look into my eyes. Look into my eyes. Cruvaillon, embrace me. You will die, but I can bring you pleasures mortals cannot know. Let all of your blood course through my veins so that I may live again, and you shall be one with me. We shall live by night and die with each dawning. You shall bring her to me, and through her blood I shall live forever. Okay, which one do you like best? Now, my third quote is from the original Dracula, the scene where Dr. Van Helsing has exposed Dracula by showing him a mirror, right? And Dracula freaks out, knocks the mirror out of the hand of the guy's hand, and he backs up a little bit. And after a little bit more of an exchange, he starts to leave. And before he leaves the house, Dracula turns to Van Helsing, gives him his best Bela Lugosi look, and he says, "For one who has not lived even a single lifetime, you are a wise man, Van Helsing." Okay, those are my favorite quotes. Now then, third question. The Shining. Do you prefer King or Kubrick? That's very easy. I've never read the novel, so I'd have to say Kubrick. Favorite creature from horror films? Well, there were so many, but I think just for fun, I'll choose the werewolf from I Was a Teenage Werewolf, who also appeared in How to Make a Monster. So yeah, I think that was a very good version of werewolf. Good movie too. What film do you dislike? What horror film do you dislike that everyone else likes? I think I will choose the Francis Ford Coppola version of Dracula, which came out I think sometime in the 1990s with Gary Oldman, Winona Ryder, Keanu Reeves, Tom Waits. I only saw it for the first time fairly recently, and I didn't like it. Did not get into it at all. Thought it was very overblown. In fact, I wrote scathing commentary on my Letterboxd page, which I'm actually kind of proud of. I don't give myself that many compliments, but I think I wrote a pretty good commentary that time. So if I can remember, I'll put a link below and you can read it for yourself. What fun will that be? Okay, in any horror film scenario, what character would you want to be paired up with to ensure your survival? Well, I would probably choose Peter Cushing in any of the Hammer vampire films because he always seemed to win. So I would go with him. If you were given creative control over your favorite horror film, what would you change? Well, going back to Black Sunday, which is my number one, I would probably change the scene where the hero, Andre, played by John Richardson, finally confronts the vampire played by Arturo Dominici. The vampire's name is Yavutic. And now here we have this vampire who has survived 200 years in the grave with the mask, nailed to his face, and has finally made it out, and he's able to transform other people into vampires and do all this amazing stuff. So he meets this hero, and they just have a fight, like any two guys would have a fight, without using any of his supposed supernatural powers to defeat this guy. I thought that was kind of a weak point in the plot, and I think I might add something in there where there was something supernatural going on from this vampire instead of just having a big knockdown drag out with another guy. So, and the vampire loses, so that's a little bit silly. What horror film would you... Oh no, I skipped one. Okay. Yeah, I did. That's right. What are... Oh, here we go. I'm sorry. What are your two favorite covers to two horrible horror films? Well, I picked out a couple from my collection. One is this film from 1958 called Teenage Zombies, which is a really bad horror film. I like it. I like watching it because I like the actors and it's a lot of fun, but it's not a very good movie. But that is a great cover. Is that cool or what? Good poster art for that movie too. So, and another one is this film that I just reconnected with recently. It's called Devil Bat's Daughter from 1946, 45, 46. Rosemary LaPlanche, who also was in Strangler of the Swamp, which is a much better film. And this is by the same director, by the way. But this is not a very good movie. It's one of the Poverty Row films, which I've been obsessed lately with watching a lot of films from Poverty Row Studios, like PRC, Monogram, Majestic, Mascot. I love these things. But, yeah, that's a great cover, though. This has got, what does it say? Blood red lips, hungry for love, but cursed by the brand of the vampires. But really, nothing much happens in this movie at all. It's a big disappointment, but yeah. All right. Let's see. Name a horror film you tried several times to get through but can't. Well, I had a hard time coming up with an answer to that one, but the only one I can think of, a horror film that I walked out on at the theater was Dawn of the Dead. Now, don't throw things at me because I know a lot of people revere these films. I went to a retrospective sometime in the early 1980s. A couple of friends, we went to see Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead. And I think there was a third film along with it, but I don't know if it was another Living Dead movie or something else, but I can't remember. So we watched Night of the Living Dead, had a great time. The place was jammed mostly with college kids, and they were just laughing their asses off. We were laughing with them. Even though I like Night of the Living Dead, if you're with the right group of people and they start laughing at certain things, it's a very funny experience. So we had a great time, and then Dawn of the Dead started, and I don't remember what happened or why we didn't like it, but we only lasted about maybe 30 minutes and said, let's get out of here. This is boring. I don't think we were grossed out. We just didn't enjoy it nearly as much as the first one, so we thought we were wasting our time. Now, a few years down the road, I tried to watch it on television back when I had HBO and Cinemax and all this wonderful cultural stuff, and I couldn't get through it then either. I don't think I've ever watched the Day of the Dead either. I think I may have seen some parts of it, but yeah. So anyway, what horror film would you like to have in your collection that you don't own? That's easy. Recently on Facebook, my friend Harry Benson was talking about the silent version of The Bat, which I think came out in 1927. I've never seen it, and some of us were talking about it on Facebook, and I really want to get that movie, so that's pretty high on my list. If you could enter any horror film to help out, what would it be? I would enter the Blair Witch Project, and I would bring them a dog, a bloodhound, or a beagle, or something, maybe a sheepdog that could lead them out of the woods. I think a dog might be able to do it. If those stupid kids couldn't get out by themselves, maybe a dog could take care of it for them. As a backup plan, I would give them a big box of matches and a small can of gasoline so they could burn the woods down, and that way they could get rid of the witch, and they could also see the skyline of Burkittsville, Maryland, and manage to get out. So, all right. Finally, favorite tagline from a horror film. Pray for Rosemary's Baby. Okay, how's that? And I could not think of another question, so I'm not going to add anything. As far as tagging people, I'd like to tag my friend Rob from Rob's Movie Collection. Rob hasn't said much about horror movies, so I don't even know if he's a big horror movie fan, but I guess now we can find out if you want to take part. Also, my friend Dave Koenig, who hates it when I tag him in these things, but I'm going to tag you anyway. And also my friend Jack Jensen's, what's his YouTube name? Psycho Broadcast, I think that's what it is, something like Psychotronic Broadcast. Jack, I'd like to see what you would do with this. So, okay, guys, no pressure, and thank you for including me in this. It's 13 minutes of your life you'll never see again. Sorry, folks.